G'day, I'm Andrew Marshall with the Northern Australia Climate Program at the University of Southern Queensland, and this is a short summary of the Bureau of Meteorology's climate outlook for the Northern Territory for the weeks and months ahead, issued on the 17th of July 2025. Now we'll take a look at the rainfall outlooks to begin with, starting with the outlook scenarios, and these are the rainfall totals that have a 75% chance of occurring for your region. Now, we're currently in the dry season for Northern Australia, of course, so looking ahead to the 3 months from August to October, we're seeing a 75% chance of up to about 10 millimetres of rain for most of the Northern Territory, and up to about 25 millimetres or so around the Darwin region and the Tiwi Islands. Now, don't forget to use this magnifying glass feature here to drill deeper into the forecast, specifying your location of interest to break the forecast down into the chance of different rainfall amounts occurring. And this gives you an idea of how conditions are likely to be compared to the historical median. As always, your local climate mate will be happy to go through this with you in more detail. Now, taking the Bureau's outlook for the northern rainfall onset, western parts of the territory have a 60 to 70% chance of a later than usual onset, while for eastern parts of the NT, an earlier than normal onset is likely at this stage. Now, the differences from average for maximum temperature here show slightly cooler conditions across southern parts of the territory and warmer conditions in northern regions for the 2 weeks from the 24th of July to the 6th of August. And here the average is calculated over the 1981 to 2018 period for this time of year. Now, for minimum temperature, we're also expecting cooler than average conditions across southern regions and warmer than average conditions in the north for that 2-week period. Looking at the chance of extremes map for the 3 months from August to October, we're seeing an elevated chance of unusually warm days for most regions, particularly in the north, and unusually warm nights across the territory. And by unusually warm, we mean the highest 20% of historical temperature records for this time of year, based on that 1981 to 2018 period. Now, these long-range forecasts for rainfall and temperature do provide the best guidance for local climate, so that is our focus here. And these forecasts consider all ocean and atmosphere conditions that affect seasonal weather and climate. But like me, if you are interested in some of the climate indicators that can influence the forecast, we will have a quick look at these now. And the El Nino Southern Oscillation remains neutral. The Bureau's models suggest that we are likely to remain in this neutral range, so neither El Nino nor La Nina until at least December. And this is consistent with most surveyed international models, some of which are indicating borderline La Nina conditions in spring. The Indian Ocean Dipole, or the IOD, is also neutral. Most international models are predicting a shift towards a negative IOD pattern during late winter, although the Bureau's model shown here indicates that the potential for development is marginal. And needless to say, we'll be closely watching the development of ENSO and the IOD in the coming months. Now, a strong pulse of the Madden-Julian Oscillation, or the MJO, has been over the maritime continent and is now moving into the Western Pacific region. And the Southern Annular Mode, or the SAM, has recently been strongly positive, but it's forecast to be neutral for the next few weeks. Now, I should also note the sea surface temperature outlook, which is likely to be influencing the forecast for Australia. This shows warmer than average waters, particularly around the northern and eastern Australian coastlines, persisting for the August to October period. And in fact, global sea surface temperatures remain above the average. Now, turning to the pasture growth outlook from long paddock for the 3 months from July to September, not much happening for northern regions at this time of year, of course, but some of the southern regions are expected to see varying amounts of pasture growth in response to the expected rainfall in the coming months. And finally, looking at the Cattle Comfort Index prototype forecast at nacp.org.au, index values between 30 and 35 degrees represent moderate stress to cattle. Values between 35 and 40 degrees represent severe stress, and values above 40 degrees are considered extreme. And we are expecting varying heat stress conditions over northern Australia, with mostly moderate to severe conditions to be aware of in the days ahead. Now, speaking of which, in the next few weeks, NACP will be running a webinar learning series on managing livestock thermal stress, and to help producers manage the impacts of both heat and cold stress on livestock. You can register and find further details at our Facebook page at facebook.com/Northern Australia Climate Program. As always, for more information and updates, visit the Bureau's climate pages at bom.gov.au/climate. If you have any questions about recent conditions or the use of weather and climate forecasts, please reach out to your local climate mate. You can read more about the Northern Australia Climate Program at nacp.org.au. See you next time.